Welcome to Toku Showcase, a video series where I, the Toku professor, introduce Japanese special effects series, both prominent and obscure, to new audiences in brief, informative videos. If you're new to the Tokusatsu genre, this is the series for you, and if you're already a Toku nerd, these are the perfect videos to share with your buddies so they too can learn to appreciate the shows you love. And maybe you'll learn something too. This time we're covering the most popular Tokusatsu franchise of them all, Toho's Godzilla series. There is so much I'd like to mention about Japan's most famous kaiju, but I've only got 3 minutes on the clock. Oh well, we'll make it work somehow. Start the timer. It began in 1954 in post-World War II Japan, 9 years after the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Toho, a Japanese film studio, decided to produce a film themed around the terror of the bomb, featuring a giant atomic monster to symbolize the weapon. The atomic breath-armed creature, named Gojira, from the Japanese words for gorilla and whale, that's still his name in Japan by the way, was to have been portrayed with stop-motion animation as King Kong and other movie monsters had been. But when the now famous director of special effects, Eiji Tsuburaya, realized this would take too long to make, he went with a brand new technique for portraying giant monsters in film, called suitmation, in which an actor wears a monster costume and stomps through a model city. This serious movie, Gojira, directed by legend Ishiro Honda, was a big success for Toho and performed surprisingly well in America as well. For the heavily altered US version, Godzilla King of the Monsters, some new scenes with actor Raymond Burr were added to appeal to American audiences, and Gojira's name was changed slightly to Godzilla. Toho hastily produced a sequel to Gojira, Godzilla Raids Again, which was the first film to feature a kaiju for Godzilla to battle, namely Anguirus. Ironically, a different Anguirus would in later movies become a close ally to Godzilla. They put out some films about other monsters, but revived Godzilla again to fight King Kong when they fortuitously managed to secure the rights to America's most popular monster. King Kong vs. Godzilla performed very well, so Toho produced new Godzilla films almost every year for a decade after that, pitting the monster against kaiju from their other films and newly created creatures, some of which were even more threatening to humanity than Godzilla himself. Slowly, Godzilla began to change into a friendlier kaiju, who defended Earth against these villains. The once serious franchise began to be aimed at younger audiences, and Godzilla became a hero the kids would cheer on. The series went dormant in the mid-70s, ending what we now call the Showa era, but was revived in 1984 with the return of Godzilla, which kickstarted a new continuity called the Heisei era, in which Godzilla was once again mostly villainous. Famous monsters like Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Mechagodzilla returned, and several new ones were introduced. After the 7th Heisei-era film, Toho shut the series down again so the Americans could take a stab at producing a Godzilla movie. The first Hollywood Godzilla film was produced by TriStar in 1998 and took Godzilla in a very strange direction that many didn't like. So Toho decided to resume producing movies at home and began the Millennium Era, a collection of 6 mostly unconnected movies which sometimes made fun of the Hollywood Godzilla. After the 50th anniversary film featuring tons of returning monsters, Toho let the series go dormant again, but in 2014, Hollywood was given a second chance. Legendary's Pretty Faithful to Godzilla's Roots film, featuring a mostly benevolent Godzilla, resulted in the MonsterVerse series of movies springing up, with King Kong as the other main monster. This is probably what led to Toho releasing more Godzilla productions in Japan as well, including the popular Shin Godzilla. There's even going to be a new Japanese movie this year. Overall, Godzilla is a sometimes serious, sometimes low quality and silly, but nearly always entertaining series. And it's no wonder he has such a large fan base throughout the world. I'm out of time, but watch Godzilla films.